Okay, so for today's lesson, I'll be looking at multiplying fractions. So when multiplying fractions, remember both the numerator must be multiplied by each other. So numerator times numerator, and remember denominator multiplied by denominator. Remember the rules. Numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. Please remember the rules when multiplying algebraic fractions. Alright, so before we move on to questions where we're going to solve or multiply algebraic fractions, let's look at the example when multiplying a normal fraction. So as we said before, numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. So 3 times 2 will be equal to 6 over 4 times 5. 4 times 5 will be equal to 20. So we'll have 6 over 20. And if we wanted to, we could have simplified this fraction. Okay, so let's look at our first example right here. So this is an algebraic fraction because if you look, we don't just have numbers, we have a letter. And the letter in this fraction is x. So we have x in this fraction, and that's a letter. So this is no longer considered an ordinary, regular, normal fraction. It is now considered as an algebraic fraction. And if you look at the other fraction right here, there is a x on the denominator. So both fractions are algebraic fractions. Now when multiplying fractions, just like right here, when multiplying fractions, we multiply numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. It is very easy. So we'll go back to this example right here. So we'll have 3x multiplied by 10, and we'll have the denominators multiplying each other. So numerator times numerator would give you, so that would be 3x times 10. So 3x times 10, what you do, you multiply the numbers with each other. So you will have the number 3 multiplying 10, that will give you 30. And we'll just, because there's no other letter right here, we'll just have x. We'll just put the x right beside the number 30. All over for the denominators now, denominator times denominator, we have 5 multiplied by x. So 5 times x will just give you 5x. Now this is the thing, when you are multiplying, whenever you are multiplying algebraic fractions, we're going to have a situation where we can simplify. So if we're going to simplify this fraction right here, because this fraction, yes, it is the answer. Yes, we did find the answer, but we can simplify this fraction to make it easier. So by simplifying, all we're looking at is basically looking at what number can divide both numbers for the denominator and the numerator. So the 5, which is a denominator, what number can divide 5 and divide the numerator? 30. And if you know, then it would be 5. So if we divide both numbers by 5, we should be able to simplify this fraction right here. So in the end, we will have our fraction 5 divided by 30, and that would be equal to 6. 5 divided by 5, 5 divided by 5, that will give you just 1. And when you look right here, whenever we have the same number, and I'm going to repeat this and I'm going to highlight it with a different color because it is very important that you notice. Whenever we have the same number for the numerator and the denominator, it is going to cancel out. So because it's going to cancel out, we're going to be left with just 6 over 1, which is the same thing as just 6. So our answer right here, after we have simplified everything, our answer would just end up being just 6. And that is our answer. Moving on to the next question. So, and I'll show you number 1 again for persons who want to look at it a little bit longer. Alright, moving on to the next question. So we'll apply the same principle right here. So for this fraction right here, the first fraction, we have 5x over 6y multiplied by 4y over 9. So numerator times numerator, so that would be 5x times 4y. So let's write it right here. So 5x times 4y. Remember, numbers multiply each other first. So 5 times 4 is equal to 20. And x times y. Whenever we're multiplying two letters, and I'm going to repeat, whenever you multiply two letters, so whenever multiplying right here, x times y, you just write the letters beside each other. Normally you write it in alphabetical order, so I'm just going to put xy. For this equation below, right, for denominators rather, we have 6y, so denominator times denominator would be 6y, so 6y times 9, 6y times 9. And remember, we multiply numbers before, and if you look right here, we only have the numbers, so that will just be 6 times 9, so 6 times 9 is will be 54, and we will just put back the letter beside it, so 54y, 54y. Now looking at this equation right here, this fraction right here, although this is correct, we can simplify this. So we're just going to quickly simplify. So we're going to simplify to get our answer quickly. So when you look at both the 20 and 54, what number do you think we can divide both 20 and 54 by? And if you're looking at it, the first number that comes to mind should be 2. So we're gonna simplify and divide both of the numbers by 2. So we're gonna simplify by dividing the numbers by 2. So let me write it right here. So if we're dividing by 2, then we should have 2 divided by 20. So let's do it right here as quickly as possible. So 2 divided by 20 would be equal to 10 over, let's change the color. So over 2 divided by 54 will be equal to 27. And if you look right here, let's change the color so you can see. If you look right here, we'll realize that we have a y on the numerator and a y on the denominator. Look at it. We have a y on the numerator and a y on the denominator. Whenever we have the same letter or the same variable on both the numerator and the denominator, we'll just cancel them out. So that will cancel out. So 2 divided by 20 will be give you 10. 54 divided by 2 will give you 27. And we'll just put back the letter that remains, and the letter that remained that we didn't touch was the x. So I am gonna write out the full fraction right here for the answer. So our answer would just be 10x over 27, and that will be our answer for this for these two algebraic fractions above. So when multiplying these two fractions, this will be our answer. First things first, remember numerator times numerator, that will give you 20xy, and denominator times denominator, it will give you 54y. We simplify by dividing by 2, because both numbers 20 and 54 can be divided by 2, and we will cancel the common letters or the common variables in this question. So in the end, we'll have 10x over 27, which we wrote down here as the correct answer.